Giggs. Giggs. No. Rhodri.
Is there anything that Lionel Messi is better than you at?
It's opinions. I respect your opinions. Maybe in your opinion Messi is better than me, but in my mind I'm better than him.
I do it again.
Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up, matter what, told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just hit the money and go stack up. Only buy cars, they get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, add it up,
Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. Welcome to Rhodri Giggs on football. Rhodri Giggs is not here at the moment, but he should be any second now. So he'll be with us in just a second. So kind of a bit of a quick fire show because it's the international break in it. So there's no Premier League and Champions League and stuff to talk about. But there is some stories to address, as the title of the video may suggest. I have got some things to say. I'm kind of interested in what Rodders has got to say as well. So just as we just wait for some latecomers to join us and stuff like that, including Rodders, there's no Super 6 update, of course, because there's been a break with the international break, which we all love. This international break is it's the favourite one, isn't it? Obviously, for those of you based in Cardiff, Will is finishing off his money-raising exploits, raising money for the Peter Whittingham Foundation with a walk from Ystrad Mynach to Cardiff tomorrow, which is something ridiculous, like 38 kilometres or something, for the South Wales Derby. He's walking in from Ystrad and will be presenting the auction winners with their prizes and their tickets to the game in hospitality. So well done to them. You can still donate money via the Just Giving page for Will. Obviously, an amazing charity. He's doing amazing work. He's one of our own. So if you can and you'd like to support him, then please do. You'll find the Just Giving page on my Facebook page. So have a look on there, get involved. And so we're going to talk all sorts of bits of football. I don't want to jump in straight away on the Maguire and Sancho stuff, obviously, because Rodders is a United fan, so he'll have something to say about it as well. So I don't want to kind of say my piece, talk about it, and then Rodders kind of then come in and we have to go over it all over again. So we'll talk about some other stuff. Kyle Walker has extended his contract with Manchester City. I thought that was quite interesting because he looked like he was Bayern bound for a little while in the summer, but Pep took him out for tea, talked to him, and I think ultimately it was a good decision certainly for Manchester City. I think in amongst they got some great young defenders and young players. So the likes of, especially after losing Gundogan, Kyle Walker, Rhodri, these types of guys, they're really important to how Pep sets up his teams and that in amongst those kind of young players and that. Although, let's be honest, these players have kind of won everything there is to win anyway. So whilst they're young, they may be still experienced. There's quite a lot of Premier League games to talk about as well as we go over the weekend coming up. And of course, we've got the South Wales Derby. I just saw the Borough fans in the chat as well. Will Middlesbrough finally win a football match? That's the question that on everyone's lips is, can they finally do it? I do not know what's going on. And listen, hey, Borough fan, tell me what's going on, because I'm a big fan of Michael Carrick as a manager and as a player. I thought he did such a good job last year. He came in and he looked like a man who knew exactly what he wanted to do, exactly the staff he wanted, the people he wanted, the players he wanted. And he came in and he just hit the ground running. He looked so organised, made clubs like Cardiff look disorganised and as if they just throw shit at the wall and see what kind of hits, So I'm being a bit surprised with how poorly Middlesbrough have started the season. I'd anticipate that they'll get it together and they'll do all right. But in this championship where anyone can beat anyone, if you do get off to a slow start or a bad start, similar to what Swansea have done, it can sort of, you can fall behind quite quickly. But equally, as we were saying yesterday on the Cardiff show, a couple of wins and you're kind of flying up the table. And like I mentioned Swansea there, a win for Swansea tomorrow away at Cardiff is massive. That can really set their season back on track. They've been dreadful this year, like both on paper and on the football pitch. It's been really, really poor from them. But a win tomorrow, these derbies, they're funny and form goes out the window, as that cliche goes. I've seen a couple of comments about Maguire and Sancho. I've got some stuff to say on it on both sides actually, but it's kind of separate. But also as a pairing as well. It's like the modern football all just typical of modern football. Borough fan says 12 new players brought in, young as well. Lost Premier League talent. It's not easy to replace. Yeah, I agree with that. And especially like the Championship is so different to other leagues that when you've got players who work or are doing well in the league, when you do lose them to a Premier League club or wherever, like they are hard to replace because there's certain players around who, I would even put Mitrovic in this bracket up until probably last year. There's a lot of players around, strikers particularly, who will be amazing in the Championship. They will bang in the goals for fun. But then when they do go up to the Premier League, they don't hit the same numbers and they struggle a bit. I think Pukki falls in that category as well. I think Mitrovic actually probably was way better last year for Fulham. Probably, I don't know what his stats were like in terms of goals. Maybe he didn't score as many, or he did, but I thought performance-wise, he looked like a Premier League footballer last year, and that's why he was linked with some big moves this summer, which obviously didn't come off in the end. So I agree with you. It's difficult to replace those players, and then if you've got a couple of players in your squad who are too good for the Championship, if you like, they again are even more difficult to replace. Like if Cardiff City lost Aaron Ramsey now, like they ain't getting someone in at the same level. They might try and get someone in the same position who's decent, but they will not. They won't. They wouldn't get someone at the same level. So it's difficult. So I heard a rumor. I'm just trying to find the story, but I heard something today on the radio that a guy has been banned for betting. Try and find it, and he basically, I think he either had more or less offences than, more or the same offences as Ivan Toney, but only got like a very minuscule. He got a suspended ban, I think it was, but it doesn't take effect till 2025 or something like that. And people were sort of getting their knickers in a twist, saying, "Oh, it's outrageous that Ivan Toney got this and this guy's got that." But I think the thing with Ivan Toney is twofold. One, he bet on his matches he was taking part in, and then second of all, he also denied it at first, whereas this other guy admitted it straight away. I'm just trying to find his name. I can't remember his name, and it's a bit easy. I'm being vague because I can't remember the story. So I know he got a suspended ban. There he is. So yeah, this guy got a ban. All right, and at Salford City winger, Mr. Rhodri Giggs, a 20 date. Well,
every fucking time. So everything's set up, everything's ready to go. My mouse stops working.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's infuriating, mate, isn't it? Like, because it always happens at like 1 minute to, don't it? Like, because I thought it was weird because I text you at like 10 to, probably just gone, and you seemed like you were
upstairs. I thought, you know what, I'll just go and get my phone. As I got my phone, I just rebooted and it started working. So yeah, sweet, man.
So I haven't really talked about anything, mate. Really, just talking very generally at the moment. So I just before I go on to the main story, which I want to talk about this evening. So Harry, I could have butchered this poor man's name. Harry Toffolo of Nottingham Forest has been banned for placing bets on 375 occasions. He's had a 5-month ban, but he's suspended. The ban is suspended until the 24-25 season. And I saw a lot of people getting their kind of knickers in a twist about this, saying, you know, Ivan Toney got this big ban, and their numbers are quite similar in terms of how many bets they placed and stuff. So the main difference being Harry Toffolo, number one, he admitted it straight away when he was approached with the, you know, you've done this. And also he didn't bet on his own team or matches. So my understanding is, one, Ivan Toney denied it at first. And secondly, he did bet on games that his team and he was involved in. So I think there is a difference there slightly. However, it is a massive difference in bans, isn't it? Like Ivan Toney, what did he get? 6-7 months?
It is, but if you look at the justice system, you know, if people plead guilty, they get a lesser sentence. You know, so they don't have to go for the court system, and the court being to see them lenient on them because they've been honest and they come out and they pled guilty, and that seems to be the case here. So, and he's not bet on his own team, which is very important in this argument. He's got an insight what's happening as a team. So, yeah, that's bad in itself. But even though it's 360, it's a lot. But, you know, if you come up honest and you've obviously got an issue, if you're doing that, well, 365, how many is that in a year?
It just says 375 occasions. You see,
across
a 3-year period whilst he was contracted to Norwich.
So it's 100 times a year, which is...
It's not that, excessive, really, is it? But it's kind of interesting because, you know, he's 28, and if he had a ban similar to Ivan Toney, that's going to have a big effect on his career at the age he's at and stuff like that. Obviously, from what I gather, if he has no further offences, he won't even get this ban in 24-25. So he's obviously got away quite nicely, really. However, on the subject of gambling, I just saw a really interesting comment from Reese in the comments. He says, did you read today? Apparently, the FAW are gambling really big on Wales qualifying for the Euros. They've spent too much money. And he asked the question, where has that gone? Because it certainly hasn't gone on the Welsh leagues, which are absolutely dire. Is that a worrying kind of sounding thing to you? If the Welsh FA is gambling on kind of like financially gambling that the Wales team are going to qualify, and if it could cause problems down the road financially, because I got to say, Robert Page is already under a bit of pressure, and to think that there's like something going on behind the scenes whereby there's like a financial side of it where if they don't qualify, they could be in big trouble is quite a worrying.
Well, they might have done a plan where they've planned to qualify for these tournaments, and obviously if it doesn't work out that way, then someone's going to lose out, and it'll obviously be the Welsh League, which isn't well funded as it is.
No, does not get a lot, does it?
No. So yeah,
what's the standard like, mate? You played Welsh League, haven't you? Because you obviously played Aberystwyth and Bangor and these teams. Yeah. Like, what is the standard like? Yeah,
it's good. It's definitely non-league football.
Is it equivalent as non-league, do you think?
Yeah. The National League. Probably National League or just below, yeah.
Do you think teams miss out a bit by not, like, especially like League One, League Two teams, they miss out a bit by not delving into those, like the Welsh League, and I know the National League probably gets it a bit more, but do you think, like particularly Cardiff and Swansea, maybe miss a trick by having a look in the Welsh League for some sort of young players?
Yeah, possibly. I'm sure they do. No, come on.
There's players who fall through the cracks all the time, isn't there? Like young men who miss
There is,
trials.
but
And
very, very rarely now because there's scouts everywhere. You know,
yeah, that's true.
John down the road's a scout. He's what's his qualification? He's just supported him for a bit, and he knows a player.
And you get quite a lot as well is like if a parent or a manager, particularly if they coach teams at grassroots level, is if they get like an interaction with a coach quite early on, and when they're young, if they see a player who's pretty good later down the road, they'll give them a bit of a nod.
Don't get me wrong, there are people out there that are very good at it who do that. You've been doing it for years, but I'm sure there is some, but it's very difficult to find them.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Just very quickly on did you watch the Wales game the other day versus Latvia?
Bits. I watched most of the second half. Yeah.
What do you make of the kind of the performance, the selection, just the overall thing?
It was a good win. Any chance you get, anytime you get a win away from home in these top tournaments, it's classed as a very good result. Even though it is Latvia and the bottom of the league, and you shouldn't win, and that comes added pressure on. So, end of the day, clean sheet, and got 2 good goals. So, yeah, it was a good result, and he needed it because if they didn't get a result there, then he'd definitely be under pressure, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it's one of them, and like they should be winning that game. Like absolutely should be winning that game. And if they had lost that game or even a draw, I think Robert Page was probably under a tremendous amount of pressure to keep his job after that. But like you say, away from home,
though.
Well, that's the other side of these things, isn't it? Sometimes, how many times do you think clubs don't sack a manager because they can't afford to pay him off? I'm sure it happens more than people think. So, kind of moving on, not quite away from international football just yet. Gareth Southgate came out and made a very impassioned defence of Harry Maguire. And I've got to say, I thought what he said was the biggest load of horseshit I've ever heard in my life. And I'll tell you why. Number one, he called out, or he implied or said outright that it's the pundits who have been targeting Harry Maguire. That's wrong, because people like Gary Neville, Rio Ferdinand to a lesser extent, but certainly, people like Carragher, they have all pretty much refused to criticise Harry Maguire at certain points when he's been absolutely appalling. Number two, I think Gareth Southgate, who played alongside Philip Neville and David Beckham, saying that the abuse that Harry Maguire takes is the worst he's ever seen a footballer take, is embarrassing, because David Beckham literally had effigies of him hung and set on fire. But Harry Maguire, and let's be honest, the majority of people with a platform or on radio or TV
was
or whatever.
Southgate around when that was happening?
Yeah, he would have been in that side.
Was he England team though? Was it 98? Was it?
Yeah, he was about 98. I think he was in there.
He would have been. We wouldn't have been playing. He would have been the squad, I suppose.
But he was certainly within football. So what I mean is, like,
yeah. He was still playing.
Saying that it's the worst he's witnessed is embarrassing to me.
It's a silly comment. He's obviously forgotten. So it's a silly comment.
And like, my problem is the pundits and these people with platforms and stuff like this, right? They're not criticizing Harry Maguire as a person. They are criticizing his performances. And rightly so, his performance.
Who's criticising him, though? Who are the people that criticise him, sorry?
Well, let's be honest. It's probably mostly fans, TalkSport, and people, the fan channels and things like this, and podcasts and whatever. Like, I believe that Sky Sports and BT are quite reluctant to criticise the England players, and certainly I think Harry Maguire's had a bit of protection.
It's clickbait, isn't it?
They just say it. Yeah.
And even though they've got Muppets on there, they've got very good people on there as well. So, it's just
the only thing I disagree with is
I
the
find
booing.
it's very difficult because even though I have slaughtered him in the past, he's still a professional footballer, still a very good one. Got to the European Cup final, World Cup semi-final, been Manchester United captain. So,
of course, yeah.
I think the thing is, it's just novices. Manager coming out, mother coming out. You're just fueling it more and more. Just shut up and keep your mouth shut. That's what I'd say if I was on Maguire. Gareth, please. I'm a big boy. Shut up. Mum, keep your mouth shut, please. I don't need this shit. I can deal with it.
Damn it. I've been quite critical of the way
he feels embarrassed because he's just having a bad time. He's not a bad centre half. He's just not an elite one.
Yes, exactly that, mate. He's a good centre half. He's just not a world class centre half. That's okay. But I think I've been critical of
stick he's getting. I think he's just like passed over. Like Phil Jones is retired now, gone.
Yes. So he's just a new meme, isn't it?
For some reason, it's just ridiculous. It's this scapegoat mentality we have on social media.
You've got to blame someone.
Media feed it, papers feed it, and people get embroiled into it. It's just nonsense. It really is. Bullshit.
My opinion is, right, you should be able to we do a show where we talk about football. So
but what are we criticising for? He scored no goal. Who cares?
Yeah, no, exactly. But what I mean is, like, if he plays, so if anyone plays in this Brighton United game on Saturday, right, and they have a stinker, next Thursday, me and you will talk about the game and we'll say so and so had a stinker. Oh, he's done this, he's done that. It's not personal.
Maybe because every fucker fan's on his back and his confidence on the arse instead of getting behind him and being.
Well, you had pre-season, didn't you? Booing it, like his own fans booing him, and that's not going to help, is it?
It would never happen 25 years ago. But we've got these clowns coming into Old Trafford now. I mean, people on social media for clickbait or this crap, just slaughtering him when these people can't even play football. I'm reluctant to really slaughter him because I've never been played professional footballer. He's been captain of Manchester United, so how can I say he's not a bad player? He's just not an elite one.
Yeah, I agree, and I think my problem is I want these players, right, to do their talking on the football pitch, and like one of my things with Harry Maguire has been he's been a bit tone deaf sometimes with his statements and his interviews, like saying I got nothing to prove and stuff like that. Is you're just inviting criticism and stuff.
Keep his mouth shut. He's not really addressed what's the right word of being a Manchester United player. You don't say stuff like that.
No,
you always got something to prove. You always try to get better. It's just things you just shouldn't say because it's just you're open to shots. Then, like him putting his passing stats when they fucking drew against Sheffield United. I got beat. I remember it was last year. I was like, what the fuck?
And it's those little things like when he scored for England in a friendly and he's given it all away.
But, and
it's like he's had like
Faroe Islands, wasn't it, or Moldova or Andorra or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, come on, mate. The work at the supermarket tomorrow. Come on.
Yeah, and it was on the back of like really bad performances for United and stuff. So this kind of takes me on, like I said just now. I want these players to do their talking on the football pitch, not on social media, not in interviews, etc., etc. So Maguire, I thought
he was very good when he come, mate. His first 2 years, he was very good, and after that Greece debacle, he just went downhill.
Yeah, he's gone
and
quickly.
People exploited him when he was. It was, and when he come back, and it was the manager who put him into that situation. It was playing Leicester away, and they brought him on, and Jamie Vardy running fucking ragged.
Yeah. But another one who I think has completely bitten his nose off to spite his face is Jadon Sancho. If Jadon Sancho had kept his mouth shut for 24 hours, he'd be starting against Brighton on Saturday because United have got no right wingers. But he threw his
might
toys
have thought
out.
he's trained well, mate, and that's why he's put that statement out there. I don't know why he took it down.
But you
took
never
take it down. Why don't you leave it up there?
But you're never going to win a public spat with the manager and the football club.
No,
Like it doesn't. It's never going to benefit you.
That's true, but people are more worried what people think. So I'll put that out there so I don't look like a fucking idiot, mate. You're a clown. It's a clown. It's
embarrassing, mate. And he's now
a clown with no balls because he's got pace, he's got trickery, but he's got no balls. He doesn't take risks. He's not a Manchester United player. If he took risks, he may get somewhere. Anthony will take risks. He won't. He'd rather pass backwards or sideways instead of going commit. Take. Come on, go forward. Commit your defender in front of you.
And he
it's like he gets there and he just puts the brakes on. And you've seen it a little bit, but not enough.
Doesn't work hard enough.
Come to these clubs, it's either sink or swim, and it just hasn't fit so far. I don't think it will now.
No, for everything. I was reading an article in the Athletic today about his time at Dortmund, whereby he was always late. So then one of the players took over as like a caretaker manager or whatever. And the first thing he did when he took over as the caretaker manager was assign one of the other players to pick him up from his hotel room on the way to meetings and training to make sure he got there on time. And obviously his performances on the pitch then, they allowed for that sort of, people making that additional effort. But it's like, Jesus Christ, you're playing for one of the biggest clubs in Manchester, in the world, and you can't get to a meeting on time, or you can't turn up for training and have the right attitude. Like, he's getting paid nearly 400 grand a week, mate. I'll go to his house. If he wants to pay me a grand a week, I'll go to his house and I'll cook him food and I'll wake him up on time, drive him to his meetings and stuff. It's fucking ridiculous.
I've seen a lot of Manchester United players down the years. He is not one.
Interesting, because I think he's got the ability.
He's got no balls, mate. He doesn't take risks. He's got to be brave on the ball, and in the last third, commit more than he does, and he just doesn't. There's a mental block there. Don't know what it is. He's scared of the crowd booing him if he gets tackled. So what? Get up and do it again. Be brave. Have the balls. He doesn't. You never really see him commit and go forward. It's just it's frustrating because he has got the tools to do that.
Yeah,
but
hasn't got the mentality
I've seen over the years. No.
It's interesting.
I take Nani over him every day.
Nani's quality. Mate, Nani is proper underrated by people.
And Chelsea, Lee Sharp, our kid, Marcus Rashford. Who else has there been down the years?
Incredible. Jasper Blomqvist, mate, had a couple of good seasons.
Blomqvist, Jordi Cruyff.
But you reminded me of something. One of the things which I always remember about Ronaldo when he come on at like 17, 18 at United, spotty kids, when he come on, like the first couple of games he came on, he's doing all these tricks.
Bolton, first game of the season against Bolton, and he come on and he's like, oh.
But he got the shit kicked out of him in every game he played for the first few weeks, and every time he would just get up, want the ball again, do it again, get fouled, get up. And that was something which always sticks with me.
That's being brave. That's
it's mentality, mate, isn't it? It's the mentality.
Anthony's got that as well. He's got his issues now that probably Sancho would have been playing. So now probably we'll see more Palestre. So, but with the centre forward coming in and Amrabat, it'll be a lot different. The team will be a lot stronger.
The thing which is absurd to me is if he'd kept his gob shut, one, he probably would have been starting this weekend. And two, I actually think that Jadon Sancho will benefit from having a proper centre forward there. Like, his best period in his whole career was when he was playing with Haaland up front with him. When he's had an out-and-out striker in front of him, that's when Jadon Sancho has excelled. And now he has, like, two of his biggest competition for a starting place are out of the side for different reasons, and he just couldn't. He had to say his piece, and he had to say, "Oh no, I did train well. Come on, mate. Fucking hell." Interestingly, I think depending on fitness and stuff, I think Mason Mount will probably play on the right for United for the time being. I know the fans want Palestre, but I think it'll be Bruno or it'll be Mount, particularly against Brighton. But I don't know what you think. Like, would you like to just see like an out-and-out winger there, or would you set up to be a bit more solid against Brighton?
I like to see Palestra. I like
He's
the
looked
look
good,
of
didn't
it.
he?
Or you can put Garnacho there as well.
Yeah, I thought when did Garnacho played on the right for about 10 minutes in one of the games this year, and I thought he looked really, really dangerous because you're so used to him kind of going on the outside and then cutting in, whereas on the right he was able to just go past the man and get the cross in. It's an interesting one. I just want to have a look at some of these comments because there's some interesting ones going back. Reece says about the betting stuff. He says, forget the bans. Betting companies are all over football. It's everywhere. And then they're surprised that footballers gamble. I think that's a pretty relevant, fair point. Will says, sure, Ivan Toney only bet on positive results for his own team. So no possible match fixing, as you can never guarantee a goal or a win. I think that's also a fair point. If you're betting on yourself, like if I was a boxer, I'd always bet on myself to win. So, like, you're not going to, like, you can't affect the result in a match fixing sort of way in that aspect. So that's never kind of made sense to me. But Reece says, the Welsh League's football standard is awful. Only TNS are professional. Most teams are advertising for players year in, year out. The teams get dumped out of Europe by non-league Macedonian and Icelandic teams. You can't even buy a win. Harsh. And he said the biggest issue is Cardiff, Swansea, Newport, etc. will take all the best young talent in Wales, and then whatever's left ends up in the Welsh League. Maybe they should be forced to pay a sum every year to subsidise the league. The problem is they can't get Newport, Swansea, Cardiff to subsidise the Welsh League in any way because they all play in the English pyramid, so they're like separated from it. So it's kind of one of them. There was something. Reece says Maguire thought his statement regarding the abuse from a Scotland fan was good. He said that it was just banter and there was no malice in it. And I think, that's like, that's a fair statement from Maguire. That's not trying to get sympathy. If I was Maguire and my mum's coming out and Southgate coming out like he's my dad, I'd be embarrassed. I got to be honest. I'd be like, just shut the fuck up and just let me play football. But I think it doesn't help that he could have gone to West Ham in the summer and didn't, and people think he stayed for the money, knowing he's probably not going to play that much. Do you agree with that? That's probably made it a bit worse.
Possibly.
United would have signed a centre back, and I think people kind of put two and two together. But also Harry Maguire, like
Johnny Evans, mate.
Yeah, well, that's it, mate. Gareth Southgate, mate, has got to stop picking. He's got to stop putting Maguire in over Dunk and Levi Colwill. If Levi Colwill and Dunk are playing week in, week out for Brighton and Chelsea, and they're doing all right, and Maguire's getting 5 minutes.
I think you'll find that to the latter stages, I don't think you see Harry Maguire in the side.
Depends, doesn't it? If Varane's out for a long period, will he then play for United? I don't think so.
For England,
yeah,
yeah.
Well, I think it's clear Southgate likes him, so if he plays for United, he'll pick him, won't he? But ultimately, I think Ten Hag has made it quite clear that he sees Luke Shaw, Lindelof, Varane, Martinez all ahead of him, and I think he's probably hoping that Johnny Evans is ahead of him as well. Although I don't think that's the case. Reece says, did you see about Everton potential sale to 777, a company which is under investigation for money laundering, corruption, and a whole string of illegal financial activities? All the teams they own are relegated. Wow. Surely the fit and proper thing, what's it called? Fit and proper testing for owners of football clubs in the Premier League and in the UK or in England. Surely they wouldn't allow a company like that to buy Everton if they're under investigation for all those things. Surely that's the whole point of the test, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah.
To stop a corrupt owner. That's mad to me. That I don't know. That's very strange to me. Will says most of these Premier League players are just mollycoddled, and unfortunately, I think like the ones who come through the Premier League academies, mate. We had this discussion previously, I think. Like from a very young age, they kind of run around by people, and like they never have to do anything for themselves. They don't have to pay any bills. They've got someone to do it for them, and it kind of, I think it's making them, as the years go by, I think the Premier League players are getting softer and more entitled and more just like, I don't know what it
Isn't
was.
that society though? Isn't that society?
100%. But I think if you're getting paid like 200-300 grand a week as well, and you've never had to do anything for yourself, it just makes it even worse, doesn't it? It's crazy, mate. The most important thing we can take, hang on, I'll do these first. Borough fan says young players nowadays can't take criticism, whether it's positive or negative. They just they need to have that nerve removed. Yeah, I remember like when I was a teenager or even like a kid, like it was okay to be criticised, like it was constructive criticism so you could get better. You can't improve at something, it's particularly sport. You can't improve at it if you don't get constructive criticism and feedback, surely.
Yeah.
It's mental to me, mate. Right. The most important game of the season happens tomorrow. The South Wales derby, Cardiff versus Swansea at Cardiff. Swansea are in horrific form, which means obviously Cardiff are going to lose, because on paper it all points to Cardiff.
When was last time Cardiff won that game?
Well, if they was to lose this, they've lost 5 on the bounce. So they've lost the last 4. It's brutal, mate. I think if you remember, was it last year? It might have even been the year before, where I had a proper rant about it because the players just don't seem to care. They don't understand the fixture, and they don't turn up. But what I will say is, Cardiff's league position doesn't necessarily tell the story of their season this year. They've got 4 points. They could have a lot more with a bit of luck. They've been unfortunate. They've played Leeds, Leicester, and these teams and lost the late goals. They've played some good stuff. The manager looks like he's starting to get them playing. Aaron Ramsey's in good form. They've brought in this.
Are you going to be in a relegation fight this year, or are you going to get?
No. I think it's not. I'm, me, mate. I'm not very optimistic, generally speaking. But I think Cardiff will definitely.
Will you finish above Swansea?
Oh yeah, mate. Swansea, they look dreadful, mate, this year.
I won't say that because it come tomorrow. What time is it? 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah, quarter to 8 on a Saturday. Cardiff versus Swansea.
Quarter to 8 on a Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not Friday.
Insanity. No, it's on Saturday. Did I say tomorrow? Sorry, mate. No, it's Saturday.
Tomorrow.
Saturday.
Quarter to 8.
It's insanity, mate. That isn't it? Absolutely ludicrous.
Oh my god! Look, where's it in Cardiff, Swansea?
Cardiff.
Oh my god!
And there's
stay away from Cardiff City Centre after 10 o'clock.
Stay away from Cardiff City Centre from about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, mate. Because there's a Rugby World Cup. Wales playing the Rugby World Cup at about 5 o'clock. It's going to be mental, mate.
Oh my god!
But what I don't understand, right? They've gone from having this game as like a 11 o'clock kickoff. Then they got it moved it to like 12:30, and it's a bubble. It's a bubble game, and the fans have got to go on set buses and all this, and then they've kind of slowly opened it up, and then they've suddenly gone from lunchtime kickoffs to let's just put it on quarter to 8 on a Saturday. That'll be fine. It's like Jesus Christ. And then when it all kicks off, and there's like pandemonium around Cardiff City Centre, fighting and pissed people and all the rest of it. And they'll go, why we have to do an investigation into why this happened? Well, I could tell you why it happened. You decided to put the game on, which has got pretty much it's about as bitter and as hated as you can get in modern day football. You put it on at quarter to 8 on a Saturday when everyone's been in work all week and they now want to go on the beers, and it's just going to be, it's going to be brutal. If my boy was still working in town, I'd be picking him up, I think, and telling him to get his ass out of town as quick as possible, because not good at all, mate. But I'm quietly optimistic about Cardiff's chances for a change, I gotta say. But you know what it's like, mate. Form means nothing in these games, does it? So even though on paper Cardiff should probably win, I think the manager's made some good signings. We're in good form. Swansea are in terrible form, but it can all get turned on its head very quickly in these types of games. Why do you think that is, mate? Why do you think one particular game just
the
goes.
passion in it, just the crowd, the passion, the bragging rights, everything that goes into it. You know, it's not just the game; it's the build-up before it.
Just emotion a bit, like.
Yeah. So you know, bragging rights. Like I say, is it going to go to 5? Can they stop the rot? You know, if they do, Cardiff. If Cardiff win, then it'd be a good night, Cardiff. If they don't, look out. It's in that time.
Yeah, but I got to say, it could kickstart for both teams. I said at the start of the show, like if Swansea win, this could kickstart their season and really get them going. If they lose, it could send them further into a spiral. And say it's similar with Cardiff. Cardiff been a bit unlucky with, late goals and missing out on wins and draws, probably which they deserved. If they can get a good result in a fixture which they haven't had very good recent form, that lifts you going out with the international break, a big win against Swansea, like that could really get the season going. And last time Aaron Ramsey played in a South Wales derby, he set up Bellamy's screamer to win the game. So
have to wait and see. Eh?
Yeah, Ramsey's been very good for United, mate. Very good for Cardiff. Oh, Joey Laidlaw's in the chat. So Joe Laidlaw is one of the boys who plays for the LPW. Obviously, Rise of the Panthers series, first episode out tomorrow, filming the boys' first game and whatnot. So that was it. I've had a lot of fun editing it. It had everything: fights, goals, bit of everything, a lot of action, some great stuff. So that's out tomorrow. Straight after this, though, at 9:15, straight after Rhodri Giggs at Football Tonight, I got a sit-down interview with the manager of the team, and he came and joined me at Eat Sleep Media, and we talked about the team and told the kind of story of how it all went. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, but make sure you check that out 9:15 tonight. Right then, mate, to finish us off, it's been a short one for you, mate, because you were so late, like 40 minutes in you came, didn't you? Just before I say to you about we look at the fixtures for the weekend, Jadon Sancho is now training separately from first team as they resolve his disciplinary issues. Do you think there's any way back for him? Take out the fact that you don't think he's a United player. Do you think there's any way back for him to play?
Yes.
United?
Yeah. Of course there is.
Do you think
it's not a massive? No, it's not. It depends what the manager feels.
If he had apologized, mate, and taken it down straight away, I think he would have been done and dusted. If he had just gone, look, I shouldn't have said it in public. I want to work hard. I want to play. Let's just leave it at that and let's go. And he apologized. I think Ten Hag would have probably gone, right, show me.
Yeah. It's words, isn't it? We need actions. Yeah. So, but you need them words to move on with the action. So, yeah, it's something needs to be said. Then we move on quickly because these things can drag out.
United seem to have had one distraction after another since Ten Hag come in, really, isn't it? Like Ronaldo and
shambles of a club at the minute. Absolute shambles. That's what happens when you have clowns at the top.
Yeah, 100%. But I've got to be fair to Ten Hag, right? I think it doesn't matter who it's been, whether it's been Ronaldo, Rashford, Garnacho, there was someone else as well. But like some of the biggest names in the squads, Sancho now, it doesn't matter who you are. If you don't stick to the rules and you're not dedicated to the team, then ta-ra. And I think United have needed that type of manager since Fergie left.
Oh, yeah, I agree, yeah.
So what I want to do, mate, now, just to finish off last sort of 5 minutes or so, we're going to go through the Premier League games for the weekend. I just want you to sort of give your prediction.
But you want me to go for my fourth win in a row? Fourth week in a row? Yeah.
No, I'm not even talking about the Super Six. I'm just talking about the Premier League generally. I don't know what you're on about. So I just want you to give me like a score prediction and like a quick couple of lines about why you think that. So the first game we got is Wolves versus Liverpool. It's at Wolves. Liverpool have been a bit up and down, but pretty good this year.
Wolves v Liverpool. 2-0 Liverpool.
2-1
Liverpool. 2-1.
Who do you think the main man is for Liverpool for them to be successful?
Mo Salah. Always Mo Salah.
Still there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Aston Villa at home to Crystal Palace. That's a difficult one, actually.
I'll go home win 2-1. No, 1-0.
Interesting. What do you think like settles that one? Like, where do you think it's settled? Villa have got a good all-round team, haven't they? They just
they're both very organised. Both of them. They've got good managers, so they're very organised. So I just think whoever scores first wins in that one.
Fulham at home to Luton Town.
Home win again.
Fulham been good, haven't they, this year? Well, they were good last year, but they've started the season.
Luton Town whipping boys. I'll say it again. Whipping boys.
Have they got any points yet with Luton? Nope.
No.
Them and Burnley got nothing. Then you got United versus Brighton at United. Very tough game. This is.
I'm going to go 3-2 United, and that's with me head. That's with my heart. Sorry, not my head.
So, I think. Look, if me or you predicted Brighton to win, I don't think that's like, oh my God, shock. Brighton have been excellent this year. There's a reason why they're, up there.
I think at Old Trafford, Amrabat's probably going to play. Raz Hamlin's going to play. So I think that'll, the crowd will be up for it. And yeah, I think United come away with a good, really, really, really good game, and a lot of goals, but United will come away with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it will depend on who United have got back, like, because you've got Mount, you've got Amrabat, both carrying injuries. If both of them are back, I think United
Martinez,
Varane.
Yeah,
Martinez, Varane. There's a few of them all carrying injuries. If they can get the most of them back, I think a big part of it will be if they can play Amrabat and Casemiro as a two. If they're able to do that, I fancy United, I've got to say. But
Tottenham, Sheffield United, 3-0.
3-0 Spurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Spurs have been pretty good so far. They'll fade away at some point, but not yet.
West Ham, Manchester City.
3-0 West Ham.
1-3.
To West Ham?
No. 1 to West Ham, 3 to City.
I think that's going to be a draw, mate. I do. 2-2. Newcastle versus Brentford.
That one's going to be 2-2.
Interesting. I think Newcastle will win that 1-0. Then we've got Bournemouth, Chelsea.
Chelsea, 2-0.
Really? You sure?
Yeah.
Because Chelsea have been...
Chelsea, 2-0. And here's one for you.
Go on.
Everton, 2-1.
Oh, mate. If it was...
Arsenal are Everton are Arsenal's bogey side. I'm going to go Everton on win.
Mate, if it was anyone but Everton or Luton, anyone else, I'd be with you. I was not impressed with Arsenal against United at all. But Everton are piss poor. Forest versus Burnley. Last one. Forest 3-0.
Forest versus Burnley.
Forest, mate, 3-0.
4-2 Forest.
So, yeah, Forest done well. Burnley haven't got a point yet. So, yeah, that's the kind of Premier League roundup. What do you think the South Wales derby will be like on Saturday, Gareth? Sorry, my mate just texted me and said that I keep saying it's tomorrow. It's not tomorrow. It's Saturday. I'm excited. What do you think it's going to be, Rods?
2-0.
6-0 Cardiff.
2-0 Cardiff.
Go on, boys. Excellent. Right then, mate.
Score first half and then they'll score late on to finish it out. 2-0.
Yeah, I like it. Come on. Aaron Ramsey will get one. Been in blinding form recently. Mate, as always, appreciate you joining me. We had a slightly shorter show this week just because it's international break and there's less to talk about. But I appreciate Rodders joining me for 10 minutes at the end there. And we'll be back. Hey, mate, UFC again this week. It's going to be good. Good weekend of sport.
Shevchenko.
Yes. It's going to be a good weekend, mate. Good weekend of sport.
We'll have a look. We'll have a look at that tonight. It's good. Saturday, it's going to be golf, football, golf, football.
Guys, Make sure you check out Rise of the Panthers tomorrow. Make sure you check out the introductory episode with the manager, which is on in about 15 minutes. Make sure you check it out. Tells the story of the team, all that good stuff. Until we meet again, take care. God bless. Laters.